what's up camper? Sturma11 here, and I watched a 3-hour, that's right, a 3-hour interview with the voice actor of Chris McLean from Total Drama Island. Christian Potenza, the voice of Chris, talks about a lot in this interview. It covers his journey from actor to voice actor to teacher, and then to allegations that ruined his career. It's a great discussion, and I recommend that you check it out, as I will only be talking about the Total Drama situation. I want to state that I am only getting this information from this interview. Take everything I say as allegedly. Get some popcorn, because this is a long, crazy story. Also, the link to the interview will be in the description below. Please check it out. If you haven't seen the newest season of Total Drama Island, you might not know that Chris McLean has a different voice. That's strange. What happened there? Why is Christian Potenza no longer voice acting the character? Well, this story has a lot of twists and turns, but let's start with Christian being a teacher. Christian had his own studio in which he was teaching students. During his time on Total Drama, he met fans and noticed that many of them had disabilities and also wanted to get into voice work. He began teaching students about voice acting with an emphasis on teaching those with disabilities. This program that he created was starting to become more successful. Christian had his name on the lease for the studio that he taught at. He had asked his friends to work with him in this business, but Christian claims that once the program got successful, the people that he had asked to join said that they wanted the building. They wanted him gone. It sounds like this was too much pressure, so he just kind of gave in and left. There was one woman in particular that he knew that he asked to teach. He claims that this actress/singer is into witchcraft and basically started some issues. She also used to work as a specific kind of dancer, if you catch my drift. Now you're wondering, why am I mentioning that? It's important to later. Christian found that his demographic was women 45 to 65. That is what he said. I'm not sure exactly what he meant, if that was just one specific class or something, but this woman fit into this demographic, so he wanted her to teach this class of women. They review the studio together and agree on a class for her to teach. She's also selling her book, which talks about bad experiences in her life about her being a victim. Now, an issue came up. The issue basically came up when she wanted to do a class on spicy adult writing. No one signed up. Her and her husband spoke to Christian about doing another class. Christian said no, and that he gave her a lot of money to do this in the first place. It wasn't meant to be consistent, and no one signed up for the spicy adult writing class. He basically asked her to do this because he felt like she'd do better teaching a class of women. But she ends up taking his students, and he confronts her on that. She gets really mad, and he said that he can't sell her book anymore because he has kids here getting lessons. So this woman went to Toronto to teach at a different studio, and they said no. She apparently took some property that Christian shot and did it. I don't know if that means a short, a show, or a movie. I'm kind of just taking directly what was said in the podcast. But perhaps she took a video or something that he made and just added something to it, or presented it as her own. Next, Christian gets a call from the Children's Aid Society, and he says that he's gotten false accusations from women and men. He claims that this woman organized all of this. He was called in and said that these allegations didn't happen. Christian also claimed that this woman has done this before to other people. Christian then goes on to say that the people causing issues are being watched because they called the police on him, made false reports, had private investigators following him, stole his property, gang stalked him, frauded him, sent people to come work with him, and then make allegations, and there are videos on a private Facebook group about him. A female friend warned him about this group, then other friends warned him that people were having meetings and going to do something to him. Then things started appearing online. Voice directors are calling him. He claims that a woman caused other issues at his studio, and then more people were sent to work at his studio just to set him up with false allegations. He goes on to talk about how his bank account was hacked and he was losing clients. They're trying to get him in trouble with the Performers Union in Canada. So Christian was at a voice acting meeting at the union. This woman releases a picture of Jude from 16 and Chris from Total Drama Island. Then she talks about Christian Potenza, a voice coach. Then this goes everywhere. Christian said it went viral. People he has worked with, people with the union are coming out and speaking out against him. They're saying saying negative things about him, and he's just surprised about all this. If you remember, I brought up a second woman earlier. Christian said that this woman's friend was telling him stuff about this situation. People were sending him pictures of the private Facebook group about him to him, and he says that 4 or 5 women were part of this. He goes to a lawyer with the evidence, and he doesn't have enough money to pay for anything as his bank account was hacked and he was unaware. He's waiting on the bank to fix things and get his money back. Christian's lawyer tells him that this happens a lot, and this is the 5th time that this has happened this week. The parents of the kids he's working with are saying that this isn't true. The kids that he's working with are saying this isn't true. He was given advice to keep quiet by the police and the legal team. He decided not to fight it and kept working. Then he starts losing jobs. He talks about Fresh TV, and I'm guessing the situation with Total Drama Reunion. I made a video about it. Fans made their own Total Drama series. The creators told them to stop. Then the creators started getting threats. For some reason, Christian made a video on this. I don't remember that going over well. That incident was also another reason he didn't want to return to Total Drama. So now, Total Drama is coming back, and Christian was on the show. Him being on it is weird if you watch the whole interview, not because of the allegations, but because of his feelings on his character. He felt like Chris McLean had gotten too evil in later seasons, specifically talking about the season with the toxic waste. Anyways, more issues come up. Things are starting to happen, and he's still getting screenshots from this Facebook group. Apparently, the main woman made a video telling what college that Christian works at, and he lost his job there. The union, casting directors, and assistants apparently blackballed people who worked with Christian Potenza. So one of Christian's students was trying to get into voice acting, and I guess things were going all right. But once this news, it kind of came out, the student wasn't getting any callbacks or anything from these studios. So once the news of the blackballing in the industry is getting back to Christian, his student is suddenly getting brought back in, I'm guessing for interviews, and she was able to get notes on her voice work as well. Then Christian returns to Total Drama. It sounded like he needed the money after everything that happened, but he was also having fun again, getting back into things. He's still getting information from the Facebook group, and apparently there's a video of the main woman raising the allegations, saying that I've been trying to take this guy down for 4 years. He also claimed that some people apologized to him, and some friends were actually starting to distance themselves from him. He goes on to talk about the police following him and being stopped by them, also being followed by private investigators, and how all of this bothered him. His phone got hacked, and he has had to get 2 different cell phones. His modem got hacked and also had a Trojan virus. He claimed things were being tapped in his house. Christian goes on to talk about his relationship with Fresh TV and how the voice actress for Gwen was replaced by Cartoon Network on Total Drama because she didn't really sound like a kid. She freaked out on social media, and the creators of Total Drama talked to her about the whole incident. But for Christian's situation, he was fired without a conversation, and he worked with Fresh TV for 20 years. Then he heard people at Fresh TV were talking about him, seemingly in a negative fashion. After all of this, he made things more private. The people that he's working with have studios at home, and his list of clients are private now. He claimed that he got more support than allegations. Even with being fired from the college, he was still getting paid by them. He also talks about how this woman will call up his friends, and they'll call him right after the call. He talks about how his YouTube channel was hacked, his bank payments were taken, and his Facebook was hacked. His texts were getting deleted and emails being hacked. So to really end things off, Christian Potenza says that he wants to have a talk with everyone involved, with his lawyers present. And wow, that was a long story. So now I'll be shifting over to my opinion on the whole thing. If Christian is telling the truth, it sounds like this is a revenge story. He wanted to work with this woman, but he wanted it to be a one-time thing, and he didn't like the material that was being promoted to his kid audience at the studio. If this is all over a simple no, this is a lot. As far as the hacking goes, I don't really know how this happened. So his cell phone got hacked. How? I am guessing maybe his computer got hacked and the two were linked. As far as hacking goes, watch what you click on. That's how people get hacked. They click on links sent to him and all their information is taken. How was his bank account hacked? That was one I don't really understand. Banks, at least some banks, will freeze your account if there's weird activity, or they'll contact you at least. For example, if you live in Montana and someone is making a purchase in Washington, it's likely not you. He claims all his money got stolen too. I just don't get how this happened. Is there something wrong with the banks in Canada or something? He said his mail was stolen. I thought this was a little strange. If this was in the last few years, he could have invested in a camera. Perhaps there could have been a camera at the studio that he was renting too. Maybe some of these conflicts or discussions were on video. I think that would be helpful. So I was very interested in this 3-hour discussion, and I actually discussed it with some of my friends. And the one thing that really came up in the discussion was the advice that Christian was given to not talk about anything. I know that's recommended in some cases for sure, because it can make things sound worse or make the person look worse. But would a simple, these allegations are false and more information will be added in the future, be a problem? He lost all of his jobs. I feel like he's got to be angry or upset with all of these companies and the people that dropped him so fast if these allegations turn out to be false. If that's true, he's owed an apology, and really, I think they should redo Total Drama voice work for him. That might sound drastic, but if this is false, he lost a job that he's had for years. It's really the least that they can do for him after his life got ruined. But that's just my opinion on some of the things that happened. I know Christian talked about this case going viral, but I really knew nothing about this until I looked up why he wasn't in Total Drama. Perhaps it went viral in Canada or something, but what do you think? With all of this information I presented, what do you think actually happened? Which side do you believe? I'm not picking a side. Picking a side isn't good to do in situations like this. I just wrote down some of the things that he said in this video, and I tried to summarize it to the best of my ability while also keeping in the context. Anyways, that's it for me. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you like my content and want to see more, be sure to subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and like me on Facebook. The links are below. I'm Sir Mo11. See you next time, and peace out.